so much going on in the community. Today is lost.
Yeah.
The average kid at the moment in time doesn't come out of his bedroom, he's playing in the FIFA, or they don't get involved in anything. They don't know anyone. So I think we need to start speaking to the community leaders, trying to get involved in the youth again.
Yeah.
And the way that we can do that is to talk to them and try to give them a different way of looking at today's world, because we can just leave it and say we don't understand it, or we can do something about it and try to talk to the youngsters today.
I like that. You know, you pointed out a key word there, talk, and that's kind of like the prime name for the channel. Hadal.
Welcome to HadalTV. My name is Abdi Jama.
And my name is Ahmed Umar.
We are here to engage
And inspire.
to tell our story.
Now, you mentioned we had a guest turning up very shortly who's going to share maybe a bit about themselves and what they do. Just without giving anything away, just kind of give us an insight as to who this person is.
Abdi Jama. He's a friend from school.
Oh, wow.
Very, very hardworking guy since I can remember. I mean, even when he was a bit younger, he was exactly like that. And I think it's the sort of guys that we don't really see in the community. He just works in the background. But I think they're the kind of people that need to bring into the light where we can speak to them. He's a business owner. He works in the community. He hires the youngsters today. I'm sure there's a couple of youngsters working for him at the moment in time. Yeah. And I think they're the kind of people that we need to speak to. And I think we're very lucky for him to be our first guest in our first episode. Okay, now we have Abdi Jama, is known as. How are you doing, sir? You okay?
Very well, thank you.
How's your day today?
It's amazing. Being here in front of you. What else could I ask for?
It's nice as always.
Thank you. I would have baked a cake if I knew you were coming, but...
Listen, a businessman is always a businessman. So, Abdi Nasser, tell us your, as a local Manchester boy, what was your first experience in Manchester?
Originally, we were raised in Ardwick.
Okay.
I think that's part of East Manchester.
Yep.
And at the time, obviously, there weren't many coloured people, was there?
True.
You might remember that as well.
Yeah.
There were very few, and we went to a school called St. Chrysostom's.
Okay.
And predominantly, like I say, I think we were the only Somali family in there. Probably one more other Somali family. And obviously, you don't know who you are at that age. At such a young age, no one's told me, oh, you're Somali.
Yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean?
True.
And I just presumed we're just like other black kids in the area, you know, just this black child in this white neighborhood.
Yeah.
There were a few Asians, but obviously, because we looked foreign, naturally we approached one another and became friends.
Yeah.
So usually you would always see the coloureds hanging together. That's how things were. So I didn't really notice anything from a very young age. I would say, personally, from the age of about 11, 12, that's when you noticed that you're black, that you're different from other people, and obviously you get looked at differently. You get treated differently to a certain extent. And from a young age, I remember people swearing at my mother, because she had a scarf on. But it was very new.
So what years were we talking?
It was the Somalis that came and had these scarves on, these big hijabs on. At the time, no one else had it on. It was a revelation to them. Naturally, if you can imagine, in Somalia, I guess a lot of people didn't have these hijabs on. It's just when they came to the West, they found Islam. I'm not saying that my parent found Islam in England, but obviously it wasn't as practiced back home. Yeah. You know, they didn't really have scarves on at that time. Pre 1980s. It was very fun. It was like a heyday kind of thing.
Yeah.
A particular lifestyle that they led. Obviously, when they came to the West, people realised their roots and who they are, really. And then they started wearing the scarf, etc. So it was the Somalis who brought this to, I guess, the West, Europe, everywhere. Because the first refugees, remember, after World War II, in whole numbers, were Somalis. After World War II.
Yes.
The first refugees ever.
Yes.
So obviously they were different to the people who previously left their countries, because they were economic migrants who came here for better opportunities. We left because it was a civil war.
I know.
So obviously when these people came to these Western lands or European lands or whatever it was, they were faced with many difficulties, hence why they then thought, you know what, let's go back to our roots, let's get a scarf on, let's practice our culture more. And So I remember seeing all of that from a young age.
So how old were you when you first came here?
I was born here.
Oh, you was born here?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, so when did your parents come out? What year roughly?
Late 80s.
Late 80s.
Yeah.
Wow.
So pretty much we are the first generation that came to Manchester.
And
There were others, I guess.
do you feel like when you go back or when you hear about stories back home, like how does it? Do you feel like a bit of a disconnect or?
Personally, not myself.
Okay.
No, because obviously we always had a Somali household.
Uh-huh.
So everything outside was, we were someone else. But the minute we came home, you could only speak Somali.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be accepted. Furthermore, I had a lot of older brothers
Yeah.
and sisters. So naturally, one would always have to speak their mother tongue at home. Whereas now,
It's different.
you know, it's the total opposite. But then it was the norm.
That's true.
And I think that's one thing that we're lacking as a community right now. We don't force our children now to speak Somali.
Yeah, we couldn't care less. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I think we just feel like, yeah, it's normal.
That's why you get like this whole idea of a Dakhan Ellis and stuff like that.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I don't understand why they don't do that here. Like they make sure like they teach the Somali language or the Somali, like let's say just to speak Somali at home only. Because I remember I grew up in exactly the same kind of household where when you were home you speak Somali.
Yeah.
Like my dad used to listen to Somali music, and I listened to it ever since until today. So
I remember one of the things I remember the most when I was younger is how can BBC Somalia remember
what was his name?
I'd always repeat that.
What was it?
I don't know what it was.
I think his name was Auke.
But you'd hear it on the radio.
Yeah, you know what?
Every evening, 6 o'clock, tuning in. You know, radio's on full blast. You'd hear that. That's what we were raised with.
I think the older generation now will listen to this interview will be probably laughing at us because like that guy's got a kind of famous guy. I think his name's Auke. I could be wrong.
I used to say it all the time.
Yeah.
BBC
Somalia. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So obviously when you hear that all the time on the radio and then you hear people speaking Somali, naturally your Somali improves.
Yeah.
Naturally you become more aware of your culture and who you are, where you're from and what's happening back home. You know. Yeah. Whereas now obviously there's less radio, it's more visual. You know. It's like this interview now, it's probably passed to many people.
And I think this is the reason why we're doing obviously this interview and hopefully many more to come. It's just trying to educate and inspire the youth and trying to show them obviously where they come from and obviously what is it to be Somali, because in the day, like as far as like we had the luxury of obviously learning everything that we can from our parents, but the generation today, they don't really understand anything. They just see themselves as black and that is it. They don't understand, obviously. Like if you go to Somalia and you go, are you black? They're probably thinking, what are you talking about?
Actually, back home, as you know,
it's not a thing.
What colour are you? Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
No, because like even in general, like if you speak to any African or in Africa especially, they won't.
Black is the norm.
Yeah. So it's not a thing. It's not something to talk about.
Yeah, it's not.
But obviously, the generation today, they see everything different.
Yeah.
Because everything's like just white and black, or you're Asian or black, or and do you know what I mean? Even when we were like growing up in Manchester, like I remember when I was in school, like even though we were different from other like blacks that would live in the UK, we were like I used to have arguments all the time where we've constantly been told that we're not black. We're Somalis.
I think where that came from is obviously there was slight confusion. We look different, number one. Not all of us, but we generally look very different. Furthermore, we have differences within ourselves.
True.
Like if you look at Spider, you look at yourself or me. We totally look different from one another.
Yeah. Even though we're all Somalis.
And
definitely.
you'll see even more variations. Than us. You'll see some that look Mexican or Indian. You know, totally different.
Yeah.
And obviously that's because of where we're from in East Africa, being the longest. Somalia being the longest coastline in Africa. We had migration through hundreds of years. So I think that was one of the things that came at play. They saw us as being so different. Like, how can you all be Somali? You all must be different. Therefore, you're not us. Secondly, obviously, there's another aspect that was hidden, which is Islam.
Yeah, the religion.
Yeah, they
Big
saw
difference.
us as Muslim. Therefore, they thought they're Muslim, but they're black. They're clearly not one of us. Generally, you are thought to be black, and therefore something else, not Islam. So they would then bring us in the realms of being Asian. So they would say, they would confuse us with Asian simply because you're Muslim. So they're saying, yeah, but you're not African or black because you're. In other words, they're trying to say you're not Muslim. You're Muslim.
True.
Yeah? So that was the second thing. And furthermore, I would go to the extent, number 3, we're very confident people.
Yeah.
As a nation of people.
Yeah.
And one Somali is equivalent to 10, 20 other people. You remember in high school, Burnage High School we went to, we had maybe about 30 Somalis in the whole school.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, it was 900. It felt like everywhere there's a Somali because you know they're always at the pecking order. They're right at the top. Whether it's playing football, they're the loudest, or some would say the best. You know, in football, or they were the most, I would say, passionate about the game. And then in fighting, they're always at the front. They're leading the charge. That's probably to do with our history, Civil War, coming from Civil War. Maybe it's still in our blood, fighting. We love fighting, you know. Also, furthermore, if we see others being, you know, beaten up or anything, we'd always get stuck in. We wouldn't let others be bullied or anything like that.
Because I remember, like,
no matter who you were, we wouldn't allow that to happen. So I guess all of these things made them feel like they're different. But what's funny is, as we got older, the same people who used to look at us as being different. Today, they're like, brother.
Yeah.
You know, how are you, brother? Where have you been?
Yeah, I think it was just because we were like different, and the new generation who came from Africa, where
proud Muslims, proud black.
They didn't understand our culture. They didn't understand, like, obviously, we're not like going out the weekend drinking with them. So like, obviously they
I didn't remember anyone from high school going out drinking.
But seriously, like, when it comes to like drinking,
we weren't. We weren't doing the things they were doing.
Yeah, like when it comes to like smoking, because like
whatever it was.
Because like I remember when I was like at the school times, obviously, like for me even to come home after 10 p.m.
That's like cardinal sin.
I'm telling you, like, you know, you got to have a story to get in the house. Like I would be like,
absolutely, you're building a story from the moment you've gone out. Nah, because you know it's going to be a late night. You're already building the story. Your friends think you're quiet. No, you're building a story for getting back home.
So I could remember.
Yeah, that's how it was.
I could remember, like, you know,
like, 10 o'clock's curfew.
You have an alibi as well.
Are you joking? I said was lucky.
Yeah.
I think your father let you go a little bit there.
A little bit.
It was when it was going dark for us. you need to be home.
I could remember my stories was getting more.
I just look up at the sky and say it's dark. Oh, I'm late.
And you could tell, like, when your parents are standing at the door, my dad opens the door and he's like looking at me thinking, where have you been? Do you know what time it is? And you just start telling that story. It's like, you know, they don't believe you, like, but it's like you come up with something. Compared to today's kids, they have a key.
They have keys now.
Do you know what I mean? I won't even allow it.
No, they'll call in advance and say, I won't be coming home this weekend. I won't be home this weekend. Oh, right, yeah. Where will you be going? You know, I'm just thinking about staying over at a friend's house.
Oh, like,
and it's game.
Imagine that.
It's like...
imagine doing something like that.
And obviously, this is not just males. We're talking about males and females.
Everyone. Yeah. Today's world.
You know.
Because
back in the day, do you remember we had a curfew? Males had a curfew, females had a curfew.
Yeah, the girls used to be a bit earlier.
Much earlier. We're talking like 1 p.m. time. You know, you're back home by then.
7:30, 8 p.m. if you're not at home.
But obviously now it's like, it's all the same.
Yeah, but this is the question I wanted to ask. Like, and I think it's both of you. What has changed?
Many things.
I don't understand.
The world's changed.
Because I look at my little brothers and sisters and how I've been treated when I was younger and how they get treated now. It's like, it's completely different. And I'm thinking, they're the same people. Why is it like they're allowed to get away with that? Because now, like, when it comes to my little brothers and sisters, I'm the one that's very, very strict with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they're not home or something happens or like they were somewhere, I'll be the one on the phone, like, looking, where are you? So what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Trying to discipline them. Because I had the same treatment. But they're not getting the same treatment from the same parents. Do you know what I mean?
I'll tell you why. Your parents were young at one stage.
True.
They had the energy.
Yeah.
They could teach you manners. They could fix your attitude if you had an attitude problem. They could do many things. They had the energy then. Now they are not the same parents. This is 30 years later, 20 years later. They don't have the same energy. Now, what you're dealing with now is those parents who taught us and then it's us teaching our children, and we are stuck in this particular materialistic lifestyle, which we have. We're thinking about the house, the car, a good job. We're busy thinking about these, whereas our parents, when they came, the only number one responsibility they had was looking after us and teaching us adab, akhlaq. You know, these were the most important things. But now you don't have that. You know, they don't have the same levels of energy. Furthermore, you know, the world's moving at a much faster pace than it used to be. You know, information is at your fingertips. Do you remember at one stage there was encyclopedia?
Yeah.
The only internet we had was this CD. Was it a CD or a floppy disk? Or it was pre-installed into the PCs back then.
Yeah.
And you'd go on there and then you type in rap. You remember doing it in high school? You type in rap music, and then there was always one rap music song that was on there, and you turn it on and you'd think you're cool. There was no internet; it was just on an encyclopedia.
Yeah, you listen.
And then you'd rinse that out, but you thought, "Wow, look how ahead we are." But today, everything's fast. It's on your mobile phone. There's no more TVs. No, it's in your pocket, literally. Everything is fast. They want it quick. They want the success now.
Yeah,
the microwave mindset.
Everything, it's just a totally different world, that's
true.
And then furthermore, it's places, social media, again, it has a massive role to play, because what it does is it brings people who were previously not influenced are now easily influenced, because they're seeing their friends or people they know or people they aspire to. Yeah. They're seeing them on a daily basis. They're interacting with them visually. So what happens then is they want to copy them. Hence why places like this is important, because the kids need to realise, I won't call them kids actually, we're peers. They need to realise that all they see on social media isn't real.
I know.
You know, so we're bringing reality back to the youth, not just our people.
Like everybody seems to have a life in a real life, and then you have this online social life media where like they look amazing, they got this, they got that, they're driving their friends' car.
I'll be honest,
they're driving fire.
I've seen your profile picture. And the Yasser I've seen on that profile picture isn't the Yasser side in front of me. I'll take them. But that's how it is.
No, but
people show the best side.
Yeah, because like
it's the best moment.
Yeah, but it's not realistic though, is it?
It's not realistic. I mean, but the youth now are gullible. They believe that. Do you know one thing that they think it's real.
Do you know one thing that I have a problem with now? It's like one thing I wanted to talk about was basically our youth right now. They go to prison like in high numbers right now.
Yeah, very high.
And have you noticed when they come out, like you got all these people with their phones and cameras and celebrating when they come out. So and so's come home and you're like, why are you celebrating that? Like, how would you celebrate somebody coming out of prison, where like there's some kids in the community right now who graduated or who done something great or nothing. No one's putting them, like I've seen them like people celebrating, all sorts of people like putting them on social media. So and so's come home and like celebrating like you just came out of university.
That's why this platform is here to highlight these problems that we've got in our communities. To say that this isn't the norm.
Yeah, but it's becoming the norm as it stands.
Yeah,
which is really sad. But I think I just don't understand all this. You know, like all our Somali, like the youth.
It's a trend, that's it.
Yeah, but
they're following a trend. Yeah, it's not them. They're not innovators. They're copying this off America and all these places where such and such is coming out of prison.
So this is the reason why we do.
It's a block party. Am I right?
Yeah,
a block party.
Yeah.
You know, he's come out. He's done a 10-year stretch. He looks much healthier. He looks 10 times younger. No stress. Yeah, and people are celebrating him. Yeah. He's a celebrity.
It's sad affairs, man.
Yeah, very sad.
I mean,
so imagine the youth today. They're thinking, right, if I do a stretch, I'll be coming out to a limousine. Do you know what I mean? Like coming out to a party.
Which doesn't happen now. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know what I mean? It's just incredible.
Very sad. But also, what you've got to understand is, a key. The key reason why you've got to ask yourself firstly, why are they going to jail? There's one thing before that, and they are going to jail because firstly, let's take it back a notch. We're nomads generally.
True.
We come from a nomadic lifestyle. We were traders as well.
Yeah.
So we would always be constantly traveling, working for ourselves, self-employed. The nature of us generally, we have a mentality that we always want to be self-employed. Whereas many communities might see like some communities, they'll say, I want my son to be a doctor or a GP or a policeman or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We generally say,
Just-
I'd love him to be a great businessman.
Yeah.
Am I right? So coming from that particular background, coming to the West, being raised here in Europe, in England, our youth don't see that entrepreneurial side in either their brothers, their sisters, their parents. And what happens then is they want to become successful quick to prove a point.
Yeah.
So obviously some of them will try business, some of them will try working for others just to get on that ladder.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a certain point where they think this isn't enough. Such and such,
It's making.
I went to high school with. He's driving a Bentley.
Yeah, I know.
What's he doing with a Bentley?
Never worked a day in his life.
He's never worked a day in his life. He looks and he talks like he's got a lot of money. Yeah. He goes to Selfridges, spends £10,000
in cash.
What's going on here? You know, I want a piece of whatever he's got. So then they start dabbling in this world. But knowing our nature as being that fuddled,
Yeah.
we're too fast.
Yeah.
We want to get there quicker than that guy's got there. We want to overtake him in a month. So naturally what happens? You start making mistakes. Yeah? And then obviously it catches up with them much quicker than the other guy who's been doing it. So that's partly, I think, why we are in this situation, because they want to get rich quick, much quicker than everyone else, because they're already willing to do the crime. That's inevitable.
Yeah.
But they just want to get there quicker. They want that Ferrari. They don't want a Lamborghini. They're thinking about the Ferrari already. They're probably walking right now. So I think that's one of the main reasons.
But I don't. It's also like it's our first generation.
No, I think we're not first generation.
No, but I'm talking about in this kind of space that we're in right now. It's the first generation of going to prison in high numbers.
I think it's
I think it's been a regular trend. I think it's been a regular trend.
When we were growing up,
it's just that it was more hush hush. You didn't hear about it. There weren't a text message. You could receive
I didn't know.
You could receive a WhatsApp message saying such and such has gone on holiday for 6 years. That's a long holiday. Where's he going to Turkey? Do you know what I mean?
No,
he's gone to Siberia.
There was no such thing as
none of that nonsense.
There was no such thing as holidays back then.
There wasn't a holiday.
Yeah.
But now you're here, I've been on holiday. Oh, that's nice. Is that why you're looking healthy? Yeah. It's been a long stretch.
I take your point. Like there was not that many people that I actually knew. Like when I was in college or in school, that went to prison or got locked up for certain reasons. There's always one that was a troublemaker in every group. But like the extent now, like
the numbers have increased.
Definitely. 100%.
Definitely increased.
For the size of our population of the Somalis in the UK, whether they were born here or came here as children, I think in proportion to other communities, I think I read a statistic not long ago where we were at one of the highest percentages in prisons in the UK.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Who was it that said to me not long ago? I think it was one of my friends made a comment to me not long ago. I think it was some Yemeni guy. He went, I was speaking to so-and-so and said, in every prison, there's a little Mogadishu in there.
Is it?
I just laughed. I was like,
wow.
How do you even know what that is? Yeah, but...
Imagine you won't hear there's a little Chinatown, there's a little Mogadishu.
Little Mogadishu in every prison.
In our local prison.
I was laughing. And it's so sad even to hear that comment. I was thinking...
I remember hearing all the time, people that are non-Somalis would say, I met your people, good people, I met them in prison. If they were so good, they wouldn't be in prison, am I right?
Oh, no.
Individually, they're all good people.
But everyone is innocent in prison, as you know. Yeah. They've never done anything.
The question, I think it was a police officer where, it was, I can't remember what it was. I think it was one of the high-ranking police officers in Manchester. We had a meeting with him one time over, the crime in the Somali community, and he made a comment that kind of surprised most of the people there. And the comment was, the Somali youth are the worst criminals in Manchester, for him, in his eyes.
Right.
And we were like, what do you mean about that?
Yeah.
That's coming from a white police officer. I was thinking,
what's going on?
Is he picking on a community? So like we were like a bit taken back, thinking, can you explain what you mean?
Yeah.
And he said, I've seen a lot of criminals in my life. He was kind of older guy as well. He goes, it just baffles me to understand why are all these youngsters going to like doing all the crimes they're committing while they're all from good homes?
Previously, obviously, coming from a bad background, broken home, naturally it would lead you towards
Into
the
a
streets,
difficult life, yeah.
and the streets would then inevitably lead you towards crime. Somali youth, I don't know now, but the criminals before, or those who are doing crime, it was a lifestyle choice. They've done this out of choice. If I can suggest, let's talk about from here forth, what we're doing, how we're going to do it. Let's talk about the future.
The future, obviously, the way...
Because obviously, the past was the past. You can't live in the past. You've always got to look at the future and the present.
But also, like, it's a lot to learn from the past.
Of course.
We are the way we are now because obviously because of our past
experience.
And I think the youngsters today, I don't think they're getting that past that we had. So this is the reason why we want to talk to a businessman like you, who grew up in this community, who opened businesses in this community, where obviously like your experience, and obviously even I've seen yourself now, you're hiring some of the youth, that obviously
to give them opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
That we didn't have.
I've been doing that for the past 10 years, where I've been hiring, some of the kids from the community, trying to give them an opportunity and trying to get them out of the community, trying to, to make some money.
And then when I finished high school, I was in college and I was just looking for jobs. I've always worked, whether it's employed, volunteering, self-employed now. Like I've always had a job, but there was a little transition period where I never had a job, and I was looking for work. And then luckily, obviously, Assad managed to bring me in, hire me, and I was working at that place for a good part of 3 years. And it just, when you have a job, you learn more about responsibilities, timekeeping, teamwork, like life skills.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the kids nowadays, like, they won't last in one particular, employment or a job for such a period of time. They might, and I'm not saying that's everyone, but a good amount of people, they'll just go to one place, they'll stay there for whatever they need, and then boom, they're out. Maybe they're in Amazon, warehouse job, temp roles, whatever it might be.
But I think that's the thing, that they're not getting that, like somebody to, for example, when it comes to like coaching and hiring the youth, and I've been doing that for quite a while now, where I took so many youngsters from our community, where we give them an opportunity. And it's not just to giving them an opportunity to earn money, it's just also to help them out, to speak to them on a regular basis. Obviously, like you were like a fantastic. I mean, I had other like youth that obviously worked for me for a certain period where were more challenging. Obviously, Nasser is a good showing. I've seen quite a few youngsters in your business at the moment in time, and I was quite actually proud to see that. And I think we need more people like yourself right now, where we can actually give the youth an experience and trying to guide them through. Because you know what, you don't learn everything from your parents. Do you know what I mean? And I think obviously it's very important for like people like us actually start looking out for the youth.
Definitely.